many of you have ever felt personally victimized by Regina George?
Why is Mean Girls' Regina George so miserable?
Regina, wait! Talk to me!
Nobody understands me.
One increasingly popular explanation is that she's fed up with her constant performance of compulsory heterosexuality, or Comphet, leading us to ponder, could we read her as queer?
You're like really pretty.
Lesbian feminist Adrienne Rich popularized the term compulsory heterosexuality in the 1980s as a way to convey heterosexuality as an institution rather than just a type of sexual attraction. Comphet sends the unspoken message that heterosexuality is normal, so anything else isn't. And it conditions women to think being desirable to men gives them value. Regina displays the trademark behaviors of someone who's working hard to adhere to Comphet, including her hyper-feminine aesthetic, her publicly showing off relationships with men, and her policing of other women.
Regina started this rumor that Jenna—
Damien!
Shall we not?
Whether she's ultimately queer or just unhappy with her culture's unstated rules of how girls are expected to act, here's our take on how Regina George's dedicated performance of compulsory heterosexuality is a major reason why she's so hostile, destructive, and mean. If you're new here, be sure to subscribe and hit the bell to be notified about all of our new videos.
Regina's like the Barbie doll I never had. I'd never seen anybody so glamorous.
One of the most obvious ways that Regina adheres to Comphet is her commitment to performing ultra-femininity, because she is aware that conventional attractiveness is social currency. Regina may seem to be effortlessly gorgeous, but we're given evidence that she works really hard to present this heterosexual ideal, even getting cosmetic surgery.
I'm the only person that knows about her nose job.
And constantly obsessing over her body.
I want to lose 3 pounds. My pores are huge.
We don't get the sense that Regina maintains this diet or dresses the way she does because she likes how it makes her feel. She even admits to Karen that she doesn't actually believe in the rules she enforces about the plastics dress code.
You're wearing sweatpants.
So?
So that's against the rules, and you can't sit with us.
Whatever. Those rules aren't real.
Rather, Regina knows that her nearly flawless execution of her culture's beauty standard earns her a reputation as the ideal girl, and thus gives her power over her peers. Regina's performance of compulsory heterosexuality extends to her choice of the correct male partner. Mean Girls doesn't really give us enough evidence to make a definitive conclusion that Regina might be attracted to women. Obviously, we don't see her overtly express desire for women, while we do see her date men. And the fact that she cheats on her boyfriend with another guy would appear to suggest she gets pleasure out of that. On the other hand, both of these heterosexual relationships remain shallow and have signs of being more about her performance than her feelings. This is especially true in her transactional relationship with Aaron Samuels, which she uses to legitimize her rule over the school.
Regina would be nothing without her high-status man candy.
After dumping him, she only wants him back when Katie develops feelings for him, seemingly because she fears losing her hot guy trophy to another pretty girl with the potential to dethrone her as Queen Bee. Interestingly, a lot of this behavior overlaps with the criteria listed as symptoms of Comphet in a popular online Tumblr booklet, Am I a Lesbian? Recognizing that a man is attractive, but without being attracted to him. Picking the most attractive man in the room and channeling romantic feelings towards him.
Why would I break up with you? You're so hot.
Only developing attraction to a guy after a female friend expresses attraction to him. When you do escalate a relationship with a man, you do it mostly because you feel like he wants to, or because it's the appropriate thing to do.
I gave him everything. I was half a virgin when I met him.
You feel like you're performing your attraction to men, for yourself and/or other people.
Katie, will you please tell him his hair looks sexy pushback?
You know that lesbians exist, but you think you can't possibly be one of them because if you were, you'd know already.
I mean, I couldn't have a lesbian at my party.
We'll come back to that last one when we discuss Regina's hang-ups with Janice. But first, another symptom of Comphet is the inability to commit to long-term relationships, coupled with the belief that you could settle down if you just found the right man. We see this play out in how Regina breaks up with Aaron and then, after reuniting with him, cheats on him with Shane Oman. Again, the fact that it's a secret sexual relationship may support the argument that she's straight or at least bisexual. But it's also possible that she's using Shane as a way to confirm her heterosexuality to herself, despite having lost interest in Aaron. Outside of using her sexuality to maintain power, Regina holds a generally sex-negative attitude and shames her friends who are perceived as more sexually active.
It should be Karen, but people forget about her because she's such a slut.
She uses the burn book to police and judge the rest of the female population in her school for either not having sex or acting in a way she deems sexually unacceptable. All this may suggest that Regina views her performance of heterosexuality as necessary but stifling, which causes her to be resentful. So separate from the question of Regina's sexual orientation, what is undeniable is that a big part of her misery comes from the pressure of performing as the hot heterosexual dream girl 24/7.
And a piece for Regina George. She fractured her spine and she still looks like a rock star.
Because compulsory heterosexuality is enforced on children as soon as they're born, many queer people remain confused about their sexuality for years, or even feel uncomfortable considering the possibility that they might not be straight. So one of the major problems with even trying to pin down Regina's orientation is that, even if she is queer, at this stage in her life, she's so under the sway of Comphet that she's likely never really allowed her mind to go there and honestly ask herself that question. A big part of Mean Girls' plot centers on Regina's bullying of Janice Ian, starting with Regina labeling her former best friend as a lesbian in middle school.
I was like, Janice, I can't invite you because I think you're a lesbian.
What's especially striking about her behavior is that there is nothing to suggest that Janice is a lesbian. Her only flirtation we witness is with mathlete Kevin G. Rather, it's possible that Regina's harmful sentiments and actions towards Janice are actually unfiltered anxieties about herself. Of course, it's problematic to automatically infer that all homophobic characters are closeted themselves, but it is worth noting that Regina dropped Janice at the age that heterosexual norms become more strictly enforced, and when she first felt she should be beginning romantic relationships.
So then in 8th grade, I started going out with my first boyfriend, Kyle, who was totally gorgeous, but then he moved to Indiana. And Janice was like weirdly jealous of him.
The reason she gives for turning on Janice is that she felt her friend didn't accept the implicit Comphet rule that boyfriends take full priority over friends.
If I would blow her off to hang out with Kyle, she'd be like, why didn't you call me back? And I'd be like, why are you so obsessed with me?
Which could imply Regina grew uncomfortable with her closeness with Janice because she feared that it could be read as deviant behavior, leading to her being ostracized by her peers. As a result, she took it upon herself to distance herself from Janice and, compelled by Comphet, learned to weaponize the label lesbian.
I mean, I couldn't have a lesbian at my party. There are gonna be girls there in their bathing suits.
Regina makes a big show of how much she disapproves of lesbians, and as a middle schooler, even went so far as to punish Janice through a campaign of public shaming.
We were 13. She made people sign this petition saying that Janice was.
Damien, please!
In the present, Janice is, though not a lesbian, still strikingly less deferential to Comphet than Regina. She doesn't adhere to the pressure to perform hyperfemininity or have highly public relationships with men. Through the lens of Comphet, Regina George is the acceptable image of womanhood and Janice is the deviant one. So Regina feels the ongoing need to disparage Janice as a means of reaffirming the dominance of her own beauty standard and social value.
It's her dream come true, diving into a big pile of girls.
In actuality, though, as we've discussed in other videos, when you subtract out these superficial details like how they dress, Regina and Janice are similar. Both are mean girls who are trapped by an immature and vicious social structure.
At least me and Regina George know we're mean.
I'm always on your left.
And right now you're getting on my last nerve. Switch.
While Regina surrounds herself with the trappings of femininity in order to solidify her status, she struggles to form meaningful connections with other women. Rather than valuing female friendship as a source of support, encouragement, and positive growth, Regina has been conditioned to view other women as either competition, inferiors, or subordinates. The plastics fortify her power by presenting as beautiful women who are loyal to her, despite the fact that Regina doesn't care about their feelings, controls them through arbitrary rules.
You know that I'm not allowed to wear hoop earrings, right? Yeah, 2 years ago she told me that hoop earrings were her thing.
Talks about them behind their backs,
Don't invite Gretchen, she's driving me nuts.
and subjects them to constant conflict, scheming, and deception. The need to control other girls may be another consequence of suppressed emotions, a reaction to feeling out of control herself. Regina comes from a dysfunctional home life with no parental guidance.
There are no rules in this house. I'm not like a regular mom. I'm a cool mom.
Unlike other characters in the film who have healthier parent-child boundaries, Regina can easily manipulate her parents to get whatever she wants.
It was my parents' room, but I made them trade me.
Her mother is more concerned with holding on to her youth and fitting in with her daughter and her friends than she is with parenting, even though much of Regina's behavior seems like a cry for help. This again reinforces the prime value of youthful feminine beauty.
You girls keep me young. Ugh, I love you so much.
The possession of which makes her the most powerful person in her home as well as in her school. The staff at North Shore High are also ill-equipped for helping her face the complexity of developing into a sexually mature adult.
Don't have sex, because you will get pregnant and die.
In contrast to this array of totally transactional, utilitarian, and empty relationships, Regina's dynamic with Katie is a little different. As we've discussed in our Regina George video, the best explanation for why Regina makes Katie a plastic is because she sees the new pretty girl as a threat and wants to make her an ally rather than a competitor. But it's also possible to interpret the sequence of events as suggesting that, on some level, Regina has feelings for the new girl. Their very first interaction consists of her blocking the sexual advances from another guy.
Do you want to have sex with him?
No, thank you.
Good. So it's settled. So you can go shave your back now.
She bends the rules to let Katie into their group right after meeting her.
Okay, you should just know that we don't do this a lot, so this is like a really huge deal.
We want to invite you to have lunch with us every day for the rest of the week.
And she immediately allows Katie to join in their daily rituals instead of making her earn their friendship.
Get in, loser, we're going shopping.
For a ruler who's so obsessed with her power and the exclusivity of her inner circle, she bestows a lot of status and intimacy on Katie very quickly and easily, to a degree that suggests a level of interest in her beyond what's purely strategic or utilitarian. Regina seems eager to both impress Katie and to protect her from social ridicule.
I think I'm joining the mathletes.
No. You cannot do that. That is social suicide.
One reading of why Regina gets back together with Aaron after Katie expresses interest in him is that it's a way to keep Katie close and single. She may even be resentful of the fact that Aaron has a real shot at pursuing a relationship with her crush by virtue of being a straight man.
That flyer admits one person only, so don't bring some other guy with you.
Cruel.
Or upset that Katie wants to be with Aaron and not her, which may be why she goes to great lengths to make her jealous. The way that Katie describes their conflicted dynamic is on one level an expression of how mean girls retain power over other women.
The weird thing about hanging out with Regina was that I could hate her, and at the same time, I still wanted her to like me.
But it can also be interpreted as the dynamic of two women who have mixed, complicated, and somewhat intense feelings about each other. If Regina is attracted to Katie, Katie's betrayal can be viewed as especially painful.
I convinced her that it would be fun to mess up Regina George's life.
And their fallout does literally crush her, in a moment that mirrors Katie's earlier narration when she describes how it feels to have a crush on Aaron.
But this one hit me like a big yellow school bus.
Regina's injury leads to finally finding a constructive outlet to deal with her anger.
And her physical therapist taught her to channel all her rage into sports.
Her relationship with her female teammates is far more positive because they subscribe to a different social order, one that isn't based on femininity or popularity, but merit and teamwork. There's no undeniable evidence that Regina is queer, and it's very possible she's not. Ultimately, it is impossible for anyone to declare Regina George's romantic and sexual orientation, but her happy ending does prove that she finds satisfaction once she is more free from some of the demands of Comphet. And this, in turn, allows her to make more genuine connections with female friends. Regina's transformation in the end provides hope that even the most dedicated performers of Comphet can expand their views and find more cooperative, inclusive ways of relating with one another.
Finally, Girl World was at peace.
This is The Take on your favorite movies, shows, and culture.
Thank you so much for watching and for supporting us.
Please subscribe and never miss a take.